This is an Empty Closet Radio podcast. Get more at facebook.com/emptyclosetradio.
Hi, I'm Andrew.
And I'm Sam.
And this is The Empty Closet.
The show for everyone, whether you're in the closet
Or out and proud. Or
somewhere in between.
101.9 Coast FM. You're in The Empty Closet with Andrew and Sam. Sam, this is a very exciting episode because it is our last episode before we take a short break, just a short break while I go on holidays.
Yay! I'm very excited for you.
There have been a few things in the news this week that I think we really have to talk about. So we're going to talk about those a bit later on. And we're going to talk about something else that I watched on TV because, you know, I don't normally watch a lot of TV. And there was something that I switched it on and I thought, this is going to be rubbish. And I was spellbound. More about that later.
Now, if you do want to catch up on any of our past episodes, or you're going to need your hit while Andrew's away and we're not producing a new episode, just search for Empty Closet Radio on the Big Blue Book of Faces, hit the like button, and you can find all our content there. You can go on the Blue Tweety Bird at emptycloset_AU, all lowercase, or you can search out our podcast. Just go on your favourite podcasting app, search for Empty Closet Radio and hit the subscribe button. You're on 101.9 Coast FM. You're in the Empty Closet with Andrew and Sam.
Not a soul up ahead and nothing behind. There's a desert.
Empty Closet Radio. Listen to us using your TuneIn radio app on your smartphone. Very smart.
You're on 101.9 Coast FM. You're in the Empty Closet with Andrew and Sam.
Sam, in the news this week, and when I say in the news, I mean like front page, big, bold news. And you know how they always say that newspapers are 2 days behind? Well, newspapers apparently are about 2 years behind because the headline was, gender has been removed from Queensland licences. And everybody is spewing about it. But I don't think it's that big a deal. Tell us, what's the lowdown, Sam?
So, what happened according to the news? So, programs that shall remain nameless, but are perhaps more commercial than some other programs, and newspapers, basically front page with PC culture gone mad. So it was two things in conjunction. It was that the Queensland government has made the decision, you know, who knows how much it's costing the taxpayer to remove gender from the, you know, driver's licenses in Queensland. And at the same time, the recommendation has been made to volunteers for the Commonwealth Games that's coming up this year, instead of saying ladies and gents, to use gender neutral greetings, you know. And apparently this is PC culture gone mad. Like, how dare this happen? So, you know, one of the conservative major political party has jumped all over this and is all over social media ranting about, you know, how the non-conservative major political party is trying to ruin everything with its PC culture, without realising that, in the case of the licences at least, this is a decision that was made in 2016, didn't cost the taxpayer anything, and was brought in for other reasons.
It's a bit crazy because I always thought that I thought it was a good thing. I knew that this removal of your gender being listed on the license, I knew that had happened, and I didn't think that there was like any problems. Like, I thought, hey, it's old news, nobody cares. And then suddenly, bam, it's on the front page.
Yeah, and people are like checking because it's not like they go and take your old license and change the details. If you've had a new license issued since the change, and people didn't notice because who's looking at their license that carefully, and they've gone and looked at it now, like, there's been legitimately people have tried to make the argument that I'm proud to be a woman, man, you know, and I feel that my ID should reflect that, and how dare they take that off me?
Yeah, but did they notice when it got taken off them?
No, of course not. So what actually happened, for some rehash of actual news, not hashtag fake news?
Give us some background, Sam.
Some non-alternative facts. basically there were some comments made to the government about gender on licenses, but the comments were made, as I understand it, regarding intersex people. So in Australia, it is legal to have no gender. So that might be because you're agender or gender fluid. It may be because you are intersex. So for those of you who don't know what intersex means, it means that your gender that is assigned at birth is not clearly defined by your external genitals. So the doctors make a guess, or they now don't make a guess. They just, hopefully, just label, the gender as intersex. But what that means is you can't have a license that reflects that. It has to go one way or the other. So what they wanted was to add X. So M, F, and X on the license, so that legally there would be a reflection of your non-binary gender status.
And what actually happened was we, as in like the government, decided actually it will be less controversial just to like quietly remove M and F instead of adding an X.
Yeah, and look, it didn't cost the taxpayer anything to do this, because it's literally a piece of type on the program. Like, it's not like there was a lot of complex relabeling involved. But the motivation behind it basically brings the ideas into line with the anti-discrimination laws of this country. So Queensland is the last state that removed gender ID from its licenses.
This must be why, like, being from Victoria, I'm like, why does it even matter? I think we've already had this conversation.
Yeah, pretty much. But what it means is that for people who are intersex, or for people who are agender or genderqueer, that legally their license will not say the wrong thing. So this is bringing it into line with anti-discrimination law.
You're on 101.9 Coast FM in the Empty Closet with Andrew and Sam.
Empty Closet Radio. Like us on Facebook.
Sam, we've been talking about the changes that occurred 2 years ago, but only just hit the headlines in the newspapers. One particular newspaper about removing gender from Queensland driver's licenses, which to me seems like not that big a deal. But have you read some of the comments? It is, firstly, I want to say a lot of them are vicious. And I can't believe the people that are saying negative things. Like, I just can't believe the types of people who are really getting arced up about this.
I think the ones that I'm most disappointed in, but not surprised, are some of the cisgendered members of the rainbow community. Holy shit!
Yeah, like, the cisgendered members of our community, some are really supportive of people who might have a trans history, but there are some people who have never taken the time to educate themselves, and I feel like they're the really vocal ones on this particular issue.
The ones that I've seen most vocal personally on social media are the ones who should know better. Like, this is stuff they've said before. People have tried to educate them. They don't want to learn. So they're the kind of people who say, I can't be a racist because I'm gay. It's that kind of person,
But they're also the kind of people who are like, well, it's like I can be gay, I can identify as gay, but I don't want other people to label me because I just want to be like homogenous with the rest of society. But I want all the rights that everyone who doesn't fit in is actually actively fighting for. I want all of those rights, and I'm not willing to stand up for the rights of other people who don't fit in. And it absolutely grinds my gears because it does nothing to further the discussion within our LGBTI community or within the wider community as to what are the things that we are not equal on. What are the things we still need to work on?
And on that point, there is a negative to the removing of gender on Queensland licenses.
Well, I thought that it was all rainbows. What's the negative?
So, as you may remember, because we have talked about this on past episodes, Queensland is perhaps not always the most progressive state in Australia.
Perhaps not always. I feel like, you know what? When I landed in Cairns, the first thing that my friend who lived here said to me was, "Welcome to Queensland. You have to turn your clock back an hour and 10 years."
Pretty much. And particularly when it comes to rights for minority groups. But one of the things that we have issues with in Queensland is the fact that our birth certificate laws mean that you can change your gender on your birth certificate, but only if you've actually had surgery, so that we all know that your genitals match what's on that certificate, which is gross. Like when you think about it, that's gross. So for people who are trans, or who are gender fluid rather than intersex or something like that, for them to have a piece of ID that reflects their gender, is somewhat difficult in Queensland. And one of the easiest ones to have was your driver's license, and it no longer does that. So while it's good that the licenses are not going to be misgendering somebody, it does mean that a license that is affirmative of your actual gender, is no longer an option.
So what are the other options that people have if they do need some ID that has their gender on it?
The only one that springs to mind immediately is your passport, because that is a federal document, not a Queensland document, and so has had the laws changed a lot sooner and reflects them a lot quicker.
Okay, so the moral of the story is get your passport if you really need to have M or F or X shown on your documents.
Yeah, and that's a problem because not everyone can afford a passport. It's a lot cheaper to have a driver's license now, I have to admit, I haven't fully done my research. I assume that the driver's license laws, as with most things, are the same for 18 plus cards, which is usually what people end up with as their cheap official photo ID if they don't have a driver's license. So that's not an option either. It's really only your driver's license if it's your passport, if it's going to be a photo ID, possibly your Medicare card.
So if you are kind of going through this process, where are the kind of places in Cairns that you can get some more information about it? Or where do you go? How do you know about this stuff? I would have said that there's two places that come to mind immediately. The first is the Cairns Sexual Health Centre, because they run a really good group. It's like I hate using the word support group, but I think that's kind of what it is. But basically, it's a group of people who become quite good friends, and they all help each other with these weird, mundane idiosyncrasies of our systems that we have to live within. But also, there's some really good resources through the Queensland AIDS Council for people with a trans history. They've even got a trans representative who can just give you a call and have a great chat, good old yarn, and tell you all about what you need to do.
And if you are looking on the internet, you can go on the official website. So if you go, if you're looking through the Australian government website or the Queensland government website, there are documents on there. But those groups in Cairns are probably going to cut a lot of the rubbish out and actually be able to direct you exactly where you need to go.
Yes, absolutely. So get onto it. If you have any trouble finding it, hit us up on our social media and we'll get you in the right direction. You're on 101.9 Coast FM. You're in the Empty Closet with Andrew and Sam.
Empty Closet Radio, because no one else wants to be stuck in the closet. God.
You're on 101.9 Coast FM. You're in the Empty Closet with Andrew and Sam. And Andrew, before we started recording, you were telling me something about what you've done with your social media notifications. It's like I barely know you anymore.
Look, something that you hopefully do know me well enough about is that I'm always trying to figure out what's happening in my head and trying to figure out ways that I can better myself. And I think that's a really positive thing. So something that happened to me this week was I was listening to a podcast. It's called Future Tense. It's a great podcast. It's by the ABC, so we've all paid for it already. And they interviewed someone who was doing research into social media and particularly the big social networks. So like the Book of Faces, the Tweeting Bird, and the Insta of Grams. Yeah, I know that was terrible. So basically, they were sharing the results of their research, and I am summarizing. If you want the full story, go and listen to the actual original podcast. But basically what they said is they wanted to know whether the more time that you spend on social media has any effect on your incidence of depression and anxiety. And what the researchers thought might happen is they might see people who use no social media might feel like isolated and have like a moderate level of depression, anxiety. And then they thought, as the graph moves on, people who use a moderate level or a controlled level of social media exposure might see the incidence of depression and anxiety come down a little bit. And then as you start using it to the extreme, like if you're on there for really long periods of time or short periods of time, but a lot of them, then the depression and anxiety rates might go up. So that's what they thought they would discover. You know what they actually discovered, Sam?
Do tell.
Quite literally, the people who had no social media exposure had the smallest incidence of depression, anxiety, and it was a straight line. The more time you spend on it, the more depressed and anxious you get.
Now, I have to admit, this is not a surprise to me. It's what I intuitively kind of would have thought. What did you think the results would have been?
I actually thought that their opening theory sounded like it made a lot of sense to me. And I thought, yep, a moderate amount of use is probably good.
So you've had a personal response to this. What have you done?
Yeah, Sam, it affected me so much that I was thinking about it and I slept on it. All of these big decisions, have to be, you just sleep on it and wait and see. And, I've taken 2 actions. The first action is I've switched off all the notifiers on my social media on my phone. So even if someone comments on something that I'm doing that I think is awesome and that I'm really proud of, I don't see that they've commented on it until I either get home and look at it on a computer or if I actively open the app. The other thing that I've done is I've moved all the icons for the big social media apps off of the front screen of my phone. So it's like on the second or third screen. So I have to like swipe over to get to it if I want to. It's a bit like, when you hide the chocolate at the back of the fridge, hoping that you forget that it's there.
And sometimes it works. And when you find it, it's an exciting treat.
Sometimes it works, except what tends to happen to me is when I actually do remember that the chocolate's there, I barge through all the healthy food I've piled in front of it and then devour the whole block of chocolate in one sitting.
So, do you think that will be the same as your social media use?
I suspect so.
So when did this take place? How long have you been doing this?
I switched it off last night, and can I say, it has been lovely because I don't feel compelled to press on the icon because it doesn't have that little number on it that says how many notifiers you have left. And I opened it just before, I thought, I'm just going to go on there and check something. And I had 20 something notifiers, but I didn't feel anxious about it at all. I just closed the app again and didn't even look at it. It's great.
Yay! That's so good.
Yeah, so now everybody's going to be like, why are you not replying to me?
And I think we've talked about before taking a social media sabbatical. We have had that on an episode in the past, and the etiquette of whether you should tell people or not. And do you feel compelled to put up a thing about I'm not going to be compulsively checking this? If you need me, actually need me, use a phone.
I don't feel compelled to put a thing onto my social network saying that that's what I'm doing. Everyone who really cares will be listening to this podcast anyway, and they'll know what's happening.
You should all feel judged, and judged positively because you're listening.
Exactly.
Now, I have to admit that this is something that I've been doing for a while, because mine was more because I wanted to use less data, so I turned off all the notifications.
Is this like the same deal that whenever I send you an email, you like never reply? You just like talk to me about it next time I see you?
That's mostly because when I check my email, unless I immediately reply, I forget I have it.
Uh-huh. Yes. Well,
Here on 101.9 Coast FM, you're in the Empty Closet with Andrew and Sam. Don't email Sam.
It's like a dream, but I'm wide awake, yeah. Finding comfort in these walls.
Empty Closet Radio, facebook.com/Empty Closet Radio.
Feels like home, feels like home.
you're in the Empty Closet with Andrew and Sam. Sam, I don't watch a lot of TV. And I switched on the TV the other day. This is one of the nice things about having so many channels now that we're all digital. And flicking through, and there's this one show that is footage of, it's like somebody strapped a GoPro to the front of a train and they're just like going down a straight train track. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. This must be part of a movie. No, that was the entire movie. Like, that was the entire thing.
So for those of you who aren't aware of, you know, the famous train journey as shot and shown on TV, there was a 3-hour version, which is the one that I think you watched, dear, and then there was a 17-hour version.
And it's the train journey that goes from Adelaide to Darwin.
Yeah. Now, this is a genre of TV that comes from Scandinavia called slow TV. And the idea is that it's meant to help you slow down, you appreciate the little things, you can duck in and out, and you kind of switch off. It's almost like meditation, but not actually meditation.
Well, I thought that it was ridiculous when I first saw it, but then I was there with some friends and we were like, this is funny, let's watch this for a little bit. We watched it to the end, and it was so good because it wasn't like invasive to our conversation. So we had it going and we would talk about stuff that we saw on there. But then, you know, if the conversation wandered off track, like there was nothing to pay attention to on the TV. Like, you know, when you normally watch, like comedies or dramas, then there's always always part of the storyline going that you have to pay attention the whole time or else you miss it, you know. It's very fast paced. So this genre of slow TV, I really enjoyed, Sam, quite surprisingly.
Now, I have read about some of the other slow TV journeys of some kind. One of them was 12 hours of knitting a sweater, and the other one was 134 hours of a cruise, which I actually think would be kind of interesting just to have one in the background. But that's because I like cruise ships.
If it was 134 hours of, like, the gay cruise, maybe.
That would not be slow TV.
That would be really interesting, though.
There'd probably be a lot more drama than, you know, you'd think.
Probably a lot more drama. Actually, you know what? We might be really nicely surprised. It might just be, like, no drama at all.
I would be so ecstatic if that was the case, but, like, wouldn't you be bored?
No, I don't know. Because I thought that I'd be bored with the train journey, and the train journey I really, really enjoyed.
Now, I did watch some of it because I've been trying to increase my screen time slowly as therapy. My therapy's fun. I get Lego and TV watching as part of it. But I really enjoyed it as well, but I very much enjoyed just how chill it was. And I liked the little facts that popped up.
Yes, I only saw the little facts, like, right at the very end, where they popped up and told you about, like, how long it took them to build the train line and stuff. But I must say, I was a bit disappointed with the ending, where, you know, when the train stops, it does that, like that hissing sound, like the and literally, during that sound, it went black to the credits screen, and I was like, what? You can't end it like that. What?
How would you have ended it?
I probably would have shown people getting off the train. I like to put a human element to it.
But did you see lots of people at all?
Not really, but there were people waiting on the platform. I don't know. I don't know. It just was very abrupt. And I was like, what? That's it? That's how they ended it?
It's time to wake up now.
Yeah, pretty much. What other journeys do you reckon you could, like, just strap a GoPro on and just, like, turn into a TV show.
I actually think, because I've seen it done in books as a photo journey, it'd be interesting to see if someone did Highway 1 all the way around Australia, because there's so many different environments and so many different things to see.
That would be like, we would move from talking about a 17-hour journey to talking about like how many days worth of HD footage would that be?
Yeah, quite a bit. But like, you could edit it down. It could be, you know, a week's worth of television instead of the 3-hour doco.
Oh my God. And they could do a leg of the journey that's like they could get into a boat at the Whitsundays and go up the coast to Cairns in a boat. Like, that would be kind of cool. You could do all different modes of transport.
That would be cool.
You're on 101.9 Coast FM in the Empty Closet with Andrew and Sam.
I know they say if you play with fire, you're only gonna get yourself burned.
Empty Closet Radio, because no one wants to be stuck in the closet.
Don't know where I'm going, but I'm on my way.
101.9 Coast FM. You're in the Empty Closet with Andrew and Sam. Sam, it would be remiss of me if we went through the whole final show of our season without mentioning that I'm going on holidays. So we're taking a little bit of a break and I'm like super, super excited about it. There is only like 5 sleeps left.
I like that you had to think about that for a moment when you've been putting up photos of how many sleeps are left for like 2 or 3 weeks.
I've been doing it since the start of the year. And the start of the year was only like a couple of weeks ago, but still from the start of the year. And I have had a countdown going since much longer than that, but I figured people would tire of it if I put it online.
Possibly. So run us through some of your thoughts, some of your prep. What do you do? What have you done?
So this week I panicked that I didn't have a jumper or / jacket that would be suitable for like the high altitude that I'm going to. So part of my trip, we're doing some hiking at like super high altitudes. And I was like, I do not have the appropriate clothing for this. It's going to be freezing. And I went into the shop looking for like a jacket. And I thought, oh yeah, I just need like something lightweight that'll just keep the rain off, because it's forecast for rain basically every day that I'm there. I was like, I just need something that'll keep the rain off. And you know what I walked out with?
Something more than that?
I walked out with like a jacket that is probably suitable for like going to the Antarctic. It's ridiculous.
Is it puffy?
So it's really weird. It's got like a puffy layer inside, so I can take the puffy out and just use the rainy bit, because I think it's going to be warm and rainy.
So it's convertible?
Yes. Like everything I own, it must be convertible. It can be used multiple ways. Sam?
What other ways can you use your motorbike?
My motorbike is permanently convertible because it's open air.
You can't see the face I'm giving Andrew, but I just want you to all know.
I'm pretty sure everyone's familiar with that like silent judging glare. And the other preparations that I made, Sam, you'll be so proud of me. I have altitude sickness tablets, so that if I am feeling sick, then I can use those to help myself not feel sick. I've also gone to the doctor and talked to them about all the different medicines that I might need for in case things don't go to plan. And I've got a little first aid kit that I'm taking with me, which includes Band-Aids for any blisters on my feet or Band-Aids for any sores or cuts that I get anywhere else. And I've got a pair of gloves and a beanie. You'll be so proud of me.
I am very proud of you.
Now, something that we do need to talk about is something that's not directly related to my holiday, but perhaps I could make use of it when I come back from my holiday. Is I saw an article this week about rapid testing. And you know, when we talk about like rapid testing, we're talking about sexual health testing, really. And they have a rapid test for syphilis and they have a rapid test for HIV. And so they can like really, really quickly tell.
And gonorrhea.
Oh, I haven't seen the gonorrhea one yet. But they're also, well, I haven't. Maybe we don't have it here just yet. I saw this article that was a company has started doing rapid tests for all kinds of sexually transmittable infections, things like chlamydia, which traditionally have taken like 8 days in a lab to get the results for.
So what kind of time frame are they talking about for rapid testing?
So they're talking about like you can go in and get your like swabs done in the morning and like by the evening you'll know. So rapid is still like, it's still not instant, but it's very quick. Like that's what usually you have to wait 8 days. And like if you can get an answer same day, that's amazing.
Are you excited to partake of this new service?
Well, I don't even know I don't even know if they've got it in cans yet, to be honest.
But it's all right, because whenever they do, you'll be there ready to use it.
I will help them test it out, that is for sure. I might need to help them when I arrive back from my holiday.
Extensively test it out?
Yeah, they may not let me use the rapid version. They might be like, no, you need the full deal. And I'd be like, oh yeah, you're probably right.
That's all right. You'll have all your sweet, sweet memories from your holiday to keep you warm in the meantime.
Well, that'll be the only thing keeping me warm, because God knows she doesn't have a boyfriend here. Sam's rolling her eyes at me right now. It's like every time that we record the show, I always mention that I haven't got one, don't I?
It's everybody's aware of what Andrew's relationship status is at any time.
You know, for a really long time, I didn't have any relationship status on my social media. I just had like me doing like whatever with like, you know, just fun things with my friends. And I found that like heaps of people who I really liked, they said to me in person, they were like, oh, I thought you were seeing that guy such and such. And I was like, no, I just took a few selfies like when we went on a road trip somewhere. That doesn't mean we're dating. So I decided it was best to like make it perfectly clear on my social media.
Maybe you should have as like your banner photo across the top in giant red letters, like single, and it rapidly gets smaller and smaller as the picture goes on.
I feel like what people would read then is they might read the first single, but then as it like goes on and on and on, it would be like desperate. You're on 101.9 Coast FM. You're in the Empty Closet with Andrew and Sam.
Feels like I just woke up.
Empty Closet Radio, 9 p.m. Tuesdays, 101.9 Coast FM.
101.9 Coast FM, you're in the Empty Closet with Andrew and Sam. Sam, there's a few things coming up actually for our LGBTIQ community. One of the things that I'm most excited about is the bowling league. So if you subscribe to our podcast, listen to last week's show. We interviewed Ricky, who's organising a LGBTIQ bowling league. Now, if you're listening to us live on the radio, the bowling is happening right now. Literally right now. But every Tuesday night from now on at 8 p.m, there's going to be a bowling competition. So if you're keen to get involved, head on to our Facebook page. So just search Empty Closet Radio, hit the like button. You'll be able to see the information about the bowling league. And when I say league, it's like there's a number of teams. Each team has a couple of people in it, and they all like play against each other over a period of time to figure out who is like the top of the ladder. And it's all like equalized, because if you have never played before, you get like a handicap score thing. So then like it's fair.
It's like golf.
Well, that doesn't mean anything to me because I haven't played golf. It's like when you're running a race, and if you're, this is what we used to do when we were kids, because I was always slower than my brothers, and my brothers would give me a head start, but then they'd always beat me anyway. They probably didn't give me enough of a head start.
Now, if bowling is not your thing, but you're really, 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 really into trivia, there is something else going on.
Yes. And this one, Sam, I know that you're going to love this one. It's called Scoregasm. That's right, Scoregasm. Look it up on social media. That's its actual name. It's a trivia night, and it's changed names. It's being run by the same group of people who usually run the trivia nights. However, new location. The location is going to be at the Paradiso Cafe, which is on Abbott Street, where the Jelly Babies are. Same time, so from 6 p.m, and it's on a Thursday night. So Thursday the 25th of January, is when it's going to be held. And the money all goes, it's $5 to go and play. But the money all goes towards, funding the float that Cairns community is putting into the Sydney Mardi Gras Parade.
Which is a great thing for it to be funding. Now, if you don't have a group, but you just kind of want to go along and you're like, oh, can I do that? Yes, you can. We will find somebody to enjoy Scoregasming with you.
Yes, come along and find Sam, because she'll be there. And, because I won't be, because I'll be otherwise occupied, Sam. You know what's going to be happening to me? I'll be like stranded high up on a mountain in Machu Picchu, and like, I'll be like, it's so cold here.
You'll be wearing your fluffy inner jacket.
Yeah, well, and probably getting rained on. And it's going to be amazing. So I'm really selling the trivia night, aren't I? So get along to the trivia night. And it's going to be really good. If you come along just by yourself, there are plenty of welcoming people, not just Sam, but everyone there is very welcoming. And I'm sure you will walk away from that evening having some new friends in the community.
You're on 101.9 Coast FM. You're in the Empty Closet with Andrew and Sam.
In a matter of a second, I know you will be gone, but I won't let you have my arms.
Empty Closet Radio. Follow us on Twitter.
101.9 Coast FM, you're in the Empty Closet with Andrew and Sam. Sam, this is like the end? No, not the end. It's just a break. Sam, I think we have to have a break.
I think we need some time apart.
Sam, does that mean you're breaking up with me?
I think you're the one that's leaving, actually. You're leaving me behind, heartbroken.
But Sam, I'm coming back.
When are you coming back?
That is a really good question. So part of this going away thing is I'm taking my portable recorder and hopefully capturing some stories from all around South America. So when we do come back, we're going to be coming back in mid-March, which is when I kind of hit the ground again in Cairns. And we're going to have heaps of cool stories and cool people that we're going to be able to share with you when we come back. And it's going to be on podcasts, and we're going to be on FM as well. We're going to be on Coast FM, and it's just going to be fabulous. And I'm hoping, Sam, we might even have some other little surprise changes with the show, but you'll have to stay tuned to listen in March and find out what they're going to be.
And of course, you can check out our past episodes to tide you over if, like me, you're going to miss Andrew's voice, or my voice, if that's your thing. You can check out our podcast and listen to the older episodes. They're amazing. Go do it. Go do it now.
Sam's going to miss her own voice. Well, actually, ow! Sam is not going to miss her own voice. It's more like it's more like me. I'll be missing doing the show, to be honest, Sam.
Yeah, and it's, but everybody needs to take a breather every now and then. It's like we're watching a sweater being knitted over 12 hours, It's just relax.
I'm going to go and watch alpaca sweaters being knitted over 42 days. It's going to be amazing. And there's probably going to be lots of other things that happen during those 42 days, but there's going to be lots and lots to catch up on when we get back. In the meantime, please add us on your podcasting app. Just search for Empty Closet Radio, hit the subscribe button, stay up to date with what we're doing, and when we do come back, that podcast feed is going to have something new every week. And in the period of time that we are away, make sure that you keep following our social media just search for Empty Closet Radio. Make sure you hit the like button and you'll see maybe a few updates from when I'm overseas. That could be fun. And also, we've got the Blue Tweeting Bird, which I promised to learn to use a bit better, even though I'm trying to reduce my social media exposure. I will make the effort for the Tweeting Bird.
At emptycloset_AU, all lowercase.
Thanks, Sam. I always stuff that one up. Even though the login is on my smartphone, I always stuff it up. You're in the Empty Closet with Andrew and Sam, and we'll see you again in March.
Bye.
When summer ends, I know that we'll be done. I guess I'll never lose my shalom.
Thanks for listening to The Empty Closet, brought to you by 1019 Coast FM Cairns.